from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Missouri out of Kansas City. Timothy A. Garrison, the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Missouri, announced today that former owner of a local construction company, Patriot Company Incorporated, have pled guilty in federal court to their roles in a rent-a-vet scheme that fraudulently obtained more than $13.8 million in federal contracts. Jeffrey K. Wilson of the village of Loch Lloyd in Belton, Missouri, pleaded guilty today before U.S. District Judge Howard F. Sachs to one count of government program fraud. Paul R. Salovich, 57, of Kansas City, pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of making a false writing. Wilson, who is not a veteran, managed the day-to-day operations and the long-term decision-making of Patriot Company from May of 2005 to January 2014. Salovich is a service-disabled veteran who falsely certified that he was involved in the day-to-day operations of Patriot Company. Salovich's purported act of management qualified Patriot Company to obtain set-aside contracts to which he was not entitled. Wilson admitted he uses Salovich's veteran and service disability veteran status in a rent-a-vet scheme to obtain 20 government contracts for which Patriot Company received more than $13.8 million. As a result of the fraud scheme, legitimate veteran-owned and run businesses were not awarded these contracts. Wilson's plea agreement cites 20 contracts with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and the U.S. Army, totaling $13,819,522, which were fraudulently obtained by Wilson, Salovich, and Patriot Company. The contracts, which ranged as high as $4.3 million, included construction projects in Missouri, South Dakota, Texas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Michigan, Indiana, Tennessee, Iowa, Illinois, and North Dakota. Under the terms of today's plea agreement, Wilson is subject to a sentence of up to 18 months in federal prison without parole. Salovich is subject to a sentence of up to 1 year in federal prison without parole. Both Wilson and Salovich must also consent to the federal civil forfeiture of approximately $2.1 million. Sentencing hearings will be scheduled after the completion of pre-sentence investigations by the United States Probation Office. And February is Heart Month. And another note on in Polk County, the Sheriff's Office is warning residents of scams involving computer repairs and refunds, according to the release. Since November, there are 4 such reported cases in the county, totaling about $23,200. The most recent case involved a 71-year-old Winter Haven woman who lost $4,000, according to the Sheriff's Office. Also, according to the release, scammers call to tell people that they're with an antivirus company and are offering refunds. Those who receive the calls are asked to give the scammers access to their computer accounts, and scammers use it to gain entry into their bank accounts, the Sheriff's Office stated. In some cases, the deputy said the scammers will say they're refunded 2 months and ask the victims to buy gift cards to reimburse the caller. Those who think they are being scammed are told to ask the caller for our name and contact information, and if it is okay to call back. From there, people are advised to try search engines or FBI.gov or USA.gov to see whether the scenario comes up. Half of the post 9/11 vets are not receiving mental health care. According to a January 31st Bloomberg article by John Tossi, the VA has had persistent problems trying to care for the more than 4 million service members who have left duty since the start of the U.S. 16-year war in Afghanistan. Those who served in Iraq and Afghanistan in all volunteer military often did multiple tours with longer deployments and less time at home compared with earlier conflicts, according to the National Academy's report. And according to a January 31 NextGov article by Frank Conkill, the VA misspent even more money than government investigators initially believed in attempting to modernize its health record system. They wasted $2 billion on failed IT projects. Also from January 29th, beginning in April, Medicare beneficiaries in the District of Columbia, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Delaware, and Virginia, along with those in Alaska, the Northern Mariana Islands, California, Hawaii, Oregon, American Samoa, and Guam, will be the first to receive Medicare cards with new ID numbers and no Social Security numbers in an effort to reduce identity theft and fraud risks. And the VA resumes online applications for ID cards. According to the January 29 Stars and Stripes article by Nikki Wentling, the purpose of the identification cards is to help veterans prove their military history without having to carry around their DD-214 certificates, which contain sensitive information. The new IDs do not replace VA medical cards or defense retiree cards, nor do they qualify as official government-issued identification. And on a final note, the IRS announced its tax season. The Internal Revenue Service announced recently that the nation's 2018 tax season is underway and reminds taxpayers claiming certain tax credits that refunds won't be available before late February. The IRS will begin accepting tax returns on January 29th with nearly 155 million individual tax returns expected to be filed in 2018. And this includes our edition of the Mulberry News for February 2nd, 2018. Wishing everyone a pleasant good evening. Have a fine weekend. It's supposed to be a nice day tomorrow, but rain for Sunday. So until next time, good night.